Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, stair chairs help firefighters move patients and avoid injuries. The township moves forward with the solicitor ordinance, and 52 people get free eye exams at Post 108.
Stay tuned. Learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. President Kelly Rosner-Myers gave the Oxford Board of Education an earful last week about comments made against her in a State of Michigan letter. 3 weeks earlier, Myers contacted Michigan Department of Education officials to look into whether Oxford schools were illegally operating a boarding school, and the state sent School Superintendent Tim Throne a letter claiming the district needed to register the boarding school with the state. Throne read the letter at the previous board meeting, which prompted Myers, who is running for school board, to defend herself and scold the board during the meeting last week.
Solicitors and transient merchants looking to run their business in Oxford Township could soon be subject to registration and regulation requirements. Last week, the Township Board held a first reading for a proposed ordinance amendment that would allow those in a soliciting business to operate in the township if they receive permission from the municipality, pay a fee, and abide by a specific set of rules. In a 7-0 vote, officials agreed to schedule a second reading for Wednesday, November 14th.
Having to move people up and down stairs in a medical emergency can be a difficult task that puts patients and firefighters at risk. 2 stair chairs recently obtained by the Oxford Fire Department have special features to allow firefighters to maneuver safely downstairs. This new equipment is made of lightweight aluminum and lessens the chance of injury to both firefighters and patients. The 2 stair chairs are made by Michigan-based company Stryker and made available through a grant.
Well, the American Legion Post 108 is at it again. They managed to facilitate getting eye checkups for more than 50 people. They had their eye checked free of charge at the post last week. For the 4th year in a row, a group of eye care professionals, technicians, and students from the Henry Ford College of Ophthalmology Technician Program donated their time and talents to provide comprehensive eye exams to military veterans, their family members, and anyone else in the public who needed one.
Driving through Lakeville and Addison Township, you can't help but miss the nearly 20-foot tall red and white ball resembling a giant fishing bobber. It's not a bobber though, but actually a piece of Michigan maritime history that was once used to let approaching vessels know that there was safe water ahead. Now it's serving as a lamppost and unique piece of yard art at the home of Brian Zolk. A boat fanatic, Zolk found the Lake St. Clair buoy last year on Craigslist and had to have it. He just had to have it. He states that the buoy's job was to signal to boats exiting the Detroit River that they were entering open and deep waters. Zolk believes the buoy likely came from the Lake Erie side of Lake St. Clair.
What a cool thing. I haven't been out there to see that yet, but I'm going to make a special trip out there just so that I can have a look at it.
As long as there's not a fish on the other end of this. It'd have to be a pretty good sized fish, wouldn't it?
On a Lakeville Lake, maybe so. That's quite a big lake.
Well, I want to remind folks again that election is coming up and it's getting here fast. November 6th is election day. You folks will want to get out and vote.
Get out and vote.
But there's some particulars too. If you're on absentee ballot or would like to have an absentee ballot, you have until November 3rd to pick up that ballot, from your local township. But you must have it filled out and return again to the township no later than November 6th, the date of the election, and by 8 p.m.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that the day of the election. So for people that live in the village, Do they go to the township and get that form also, or can they get it right from the village?
I'm not sure about that.
Good question.
They might want to check with the township first.
Right, I would. Well, I imagine they could get it from the township because that covers the village anyhow, right?
Right. Well, yeah, there are certain people on the township ballot this year, or the village ballot, I mean, that are going to vote. I think there's 3 people, and there's 3 openings, I think. I wonder who's going to win.
Yeah, we better not start saying who, because then we could be in trouble. But
that's true.
Go to Curtis Wright. He knows what people need to do, right?
Right. Curtis Wright, of course, is the clerk of Oxford Township. He's on top of all this stuff. So.
And Pauline Bennett, if you're from Addison Township, she's a
Very
wealth of knowledge. Yeah, and I didn't know that. I wanted to do the absentee ballot, and I thought it was too late. So I'm glad to know that. Thank you.
More and more people are going that route.
Yeah, it's easier.
All you need is, of course, be a certain age sometimes, or certain specifications. If you have you've been ill, or you have a handicap of some type,
you're going to be out of town.
You're eligible, or you're going to be out of town is another one. Yep.
Nice.
Out of country, whatever.
Good to know. Oh, I
out
don't
of
fit
mind,
into any of
don't
those.
count.
I guess I have to go to the school and vote, huh?
Yeah, you got to be of sound mind. Can't be out of mind.
Darn it.
So you got to be there. All right, don't forget to vote.
Yes.
November 6th.
November 6th. We're going to remind you again next week, too.
We will.
That's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, you can pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper. Or better yet, you know what to do. Catch us on our website at occtv.org, on YouTube, and, of course, the regular channels Spectrum 191 and AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up on Oxford News this week is School News with Alexis Ware. Also, our very own Cody Wright with his sports news, and you don't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. Our first story is a follow-up on the failure of the Soyuz rocket last week, which saw the 2 astronauts ejecting in their capsule and landing in Kazakhstan. This malfunction is particularly troubling because the Soyuz rocket and capsule are the only spacecraft currently capable of carrying humans to the International Space Station. All crewed Soyuz launches are suspended until NASA and the Russian space agency Roscosmos figure out exactly what happened and how to prevent it in the future, meaning no one can now reach the station. The accident, coming on the heels of an air leak and the last crewed Soyuz to visit the ISS, may mark a point of reckoning for the human space flight. That damaged Soyuz is currently the only way for the 3 astronauts currently on the station to return to Earth. The hole that has since been repaired and is in part of the spacecraft that is not important for re-entry. Even so, the docked Soyuz will reach the end of its official safe lifetime in space in early January. Past then, Roscosmos will have to send up an empty Soyuz to get the crew back to Earth. That puts the 3 astronauts in a tough place. They can come home, leaving the station unattended, or they can extend their mission until the Soyuz or another craft is ready to send new astronauts to replace them. Supplies will not be a problem because there are several other uncrewed spacecraft that can bring food and fuel. There is also a possibility that the Soyuz craft will be grounded for a long time. NASA is notoriously careful when it comes to astronauts' lives, and the agency may not wait for Soyuz to get to 3 strikes. But what then? Delays and budgeted cuts for capsules made by SpaceX and Boeing mean these new spacecraft won't be ready until mid-2019 at the earliest. Stringent NASA attitudes about risk and testing make it unlikely that the timelines would be accelerated even in an emergency. Theoretically, China's Shenzhou aircraft, which is based on the Soyuz design, could dock with the ISS, but such a mission would require an extraordinary act of geopolitical negotiation and technical ability. If the astronauts do come home without being replaced by a new crew, the ISS will be empty for the first time since 2000. If it remains empty, the lack of an upkeep could doom the already aging station, taking down one of the world's most valuable and important assets in space. For want of a proverbial nail, humanity's exploration of the universe could be set back by decades. Wow. Well, on the medical front, Stem cells taken from placentas have healing properties that can help people recover from having their hip joint replaced. Placentas are normally thrown away after childbirth, but now Israeli company Pluristem has taken discarded placentas and developed a batch of mesenchymal stem cells from them. These cells have the potential to turn into different kinds of tissue and release chemicals that promote healing. To see how the cells affect muscle repair, Tobias Winkler at Charité Berlin University of Medicine in Germany and his colleagues tested 2 different doses of the cells in 20 people having hip replacements. During the operation, surgeons have to cut into muscle tissue around the joint, which can leave people limping for several months, particularly if it isn't their first hip replacement. 6 months after surgery, people who got a dose of cells had stronger hip muscles than those in the placebo group, as measured by an exercise machine. All of the people in the experiment, even those in the placebo group, were limp-free by the time that they were tested at 6 months, probably because everyone was having their hip surgery for the first time, says Winkler. The improvements seen in strength suggest that the cells would reduce limping in people having second or third replacements where the muscle starts off in worse conditions, says Winkler. Dennis McGonigal at the University of Leeds in the UK says animal studies show that stem cells are often killed by the recipient's immune system when they are injected into the body. But mesenchymal stem cells seem to release tiny packages of beneficial compounds before this happens. They are full of growth factors and other goodies, he says. Well, our last story, bees suddenly went quiet during the solar eclipse that swept across North America in August of last year. A set of 16 monitoring stations recorded them falling silent as the moon totally covered the sun. Candace Galen at the University of Missouri and her colleagues set up microphones in stands of flowers along the path of the eclipse from Oregon to Missouri to listen to the bees. They found out that as the moon started to move in from the front of the sun, the bees, that is to say, continued buzzing. But in the period around totality, the sound created by the bees' tiny wings as they flew suddenly dropped off. We had expected to see a reduction in activity, but we thought it would be gradual following the loss of light, says Galen. We didn't expect everything to go along as usual until totality. The team recorded sound for 3 minutes, covering the period of totality that lasted for 40 to 160 seconds, depending on the location, and found that only 1 bee buzzed during these 3 minutes. It isn't clear whether the other bees flew back to their hives as they do at night, or whether they sheltered in flowers as they do in inclement weather. All we can say is that what they weren't doing, and they weren't flying, says Galen. Well, the silence of the bees. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny.
Hello and welcome back to School News. This week we're still talking about homecoming on the Schooling Around segment. We have a 1-hour special of the homecoming dance, parade, and pep assembly. The parade has its own half-hour special airing soon, and the homecoming football game is already out now, so go check that out on Oxford Community Television on YouTube. We've been talking a lot about a student from one of the Oxford schools helping me do School News, and I'm pleased to announce that we have chosen our first student host. Congratulations to Rylan Olaja. She's a 5th grade student at Lakeville Elementary, and I've heard nothing but great things about you. I can't wait to meet you this week. If you think that you or someone you know would make a great host or should be highlighted for a job well done, reach out to me at manager@occtv.org or on our Facebook page, which is Oxford Community Television. In order to be a host, all you have to do is be an enrolled student at any of the schools in Oxford School District, including Early Learning, OVA, Crossroads, and Bridges. The student can be an honor roll student or someone who excels in sports or arts, or even someone who gives back to the community. We would like to highlight all of Oxford students, and the submissions can be made by parents, grandparents, teachers, or anyone in the community. Just submit the name of the student along with their grade, school they attend, and why you believe they would make a great fit. If you don't get picked the first time, don't get discouraged because this is an ongoing thing for the rest of the school year. Keep watching next week to see Rylan and exactly how she got picked for the student host. But as of now, that's all we have, so we're going to kick it off to Cody with School Sports.
What's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody Wright back here once again for another sports report. We are really getting close to the end of this fall season. It's been great, let me tell you. Our boys football team is still going strong and now secured for playoff ball. Our equestrian team qualified for states once again. The boys soccer team still going hard in districts, and the girls swim and dive refuses to fall. This week we're going to go over boys football and soccer and girls swim and dive. Not a long report, but an overall exciting one, so let's not waste any more time and see how things are shaping up. The varsity football team took on Bloomfield Hills here at home last week. It was homecoming and an exciting event for both athletes, students, and of course, the fans. The Wildcats clinched their first playoff spot with an incredible win, 56-17. Caleb Tabbert had an absolutely phenomenal game with 6 touchdowns, 327 yards on 24 carries. This team has what it takes to go far this season. We rarely lose, and when we do, it's not by much. And we have faced some good ball teams this season so far. It certainly is exciting to wait and see how the rest of the season plays itself out. Both JV and freshmen took on Bloomfield Hills as well. They went on the road but still brought that Wildcat power just like varsity, showing that we have a strong outfit in the years to come. The JV club took the win 28-0 and the freshmen took the win 37-7, an all-around outstanding week for Oxford football. And I'm sure there is more to come. The boys soccer team took on Ferndale, both JV and varsity, on the 11th here at home. Ferndale was no match for us, both clubs taking the win by a huge deficit, especially for soccer. JV taking the win 5-0 and varsity 6-0. That's right, no single goal got by either goaltender. On the 16th, varsity played their first district game, taking on Rochester Adams. This was a tough game and Adams got the best of us. We were unable to get anything by their defense. The final score of the night was 3-0. And last but certainly not least, in fact, I've said it before, girls swim and dive is looking great this season. On the 11th, we took on Lake Orion here at home and took the win in the overall meet, 97-89. On the 16th, we turned around and took it to Royal Oak as well, really creating a deficit by the end of the night. The final score of the meet was 119-67. Guys, it's been a really impressive season this fall all around for Oxford High School, certainly one for the books. Let's just hope we can keep up this composure when we ease into the winter sports next month. However, let's not chalk anything up yet. This fall is not over yet. We have ahead of us perhaps some of the most exciting games of the season as some of these outfits head into playoffs. Where it really counts, we are certainly looking forward to that. So if you don't want to miss out on the action, be sure to get yourself out to the last of these games. You can find all of the info you need at oxfordathletics.org. Plenty of schedule, scores, and game breakdowns all right there at oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at occtv.org. All of our coverage of these events can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is occtv.org. And that's going to do it for this week's report. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Porsche will position the Taycan below the brand's Panamera sedan when the electric four-door sports car reaches markets next year with a likely starting price above $92,500, including taxes that would place the vehicle between $85,900 and $103,900 for its base version of the car in Germany, equivalent. However, Porsche Chief Financial Officer Lutz Mischke told reporters that he wants to offer higher performance versions that could be priced as much as $229,000, such as the Taycan Turbo S. The Taycan's 2 permanently excited synchronous electric motors supplied by Italy's Magneti Marelli will produce more than 600 horsepower and accelerate the vehicle from 0 to 62 miles per hour in less than 3.5 seconds. The Taycan aims to be the fastest series production electric car around. Germany's Nordschleife, I hope I pronounced that right, racetrack with a lap time of less than 8 minutes. Together, the roughly 400 battery cells have a gravimetric energy density equivalent to 270 watt-hours per kilogram, roughly comparable to the latest technology on the market today. The Taycan will be able to drive more than 310 miles on a single charge under the new European driving cycle. Once drained, the battery needs only about 4 minutes to add another 62 miles in range when using a 350 kilowatt fast charging station. By comparison, Porsche estimates a Tesla requires 2.5 times that duration. Porsche expects it will build 20,000 of the Taycan a year on 2 shifts, but production boss Albrecht Reimold said the third shift would be added if capacity is needed. In our next story, Goodyear Tire and Rubber hopes it can sell more tires by offering consumers an easier way to buy them in an effort that may challenge franchised auto dealers. The company announced October 16th that it's introducing a new sales platform called Roll by Goodyear, which will allow consumers to choose from a number of delivery methods after purchasing tires online. That includes having a Goodyear technician install the tires at the customer's home or business using specialized tire installation vans, or having Goodyear's new valet service pick up the car and bring it back with new slicks. Customers can also bring their cars to a Roll by Goodyear location to buy or have tires installed. The moves could threaten the inroads that service departments of franchise auto dealers are making in the tire replacement business. Their share has steadily climbed to 9% last year from 1% at the start of the century, according to Modern Tire Dealer. Goodyear is the leading replacement brand, capturing 12% of the 208 million passenger tire market in the U.S. last year, Modern Tire Dealer says. Goodyear says its Roll by Goodyear stores will be located in lifestyle centers with plenty of nearby things to do for customers waiting for an installation. Customers will get an email or text notifications of when to pick up their vehicle. Guests can choose when, where, and how to install their tires, and they are in complete control of the process from start to finish, says Fred Thomas, Vice President and General Manager of Goodyear Retail, in a statement. Goodyear is eliminating the waiting room and giving people time back in their day to do things they really want to do, he says. Well, in our next story, Walmart announced on October 16th a partnership with Advance Auto Parts Incorporated, one of the largest U.S. aftermarket parts retailers, that will create an automotive specialty store on Walmart.com. The new omni-channel shopping experience will provide customers with access to Advance's extensive portfolio of aftermarket automotive parts, accessories, and maintenance items, said Walmart, adding it will also include an extensive assortment of services in more than 2,500 Walmart auto centers in the U.S. Rollout is expected to begin in the first half of 2019. We are absolutely committed to building a best-in-class omni-channel experience, and Walmart is the undisputed omni-channel leader, says Darrell Carr, a spokesman for Advance Auto Parts, in an email. Partnering with Walmart enables us to share our extensive product offerings and trusted advice with an increased number of do-it-yourself customers and supports our long-term strategic objectives, he says. The news comes one day after Walmart's competing retailer Sears filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Carr said that Walmart customers will have access to value-added content from Advance, which operates nearly 6,400 stores globally. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.